This clown was planning to rob a bank, and he sprinted all the way to the front entrance. But the security guard at the door stopped him. "We're closed for the day. Come back tomorrow." Without a word, the clown whipped out a weapon and revealed the explosives strapped all over his body. One look at that, and the guard quickly changed his tune, saying he absolutely loved working overtime. He obediently handed over his sidearm and followed the clown into the main hall. With a balloon in one hand and a gun raised in the other, the clown announced, "Excuse me, folks, this is a robbery." But not a single person paid him any attention. Everyone assumed he was just clowning around, and the room fell into an awkward silence. Furious and humiliated, the clown fired 2 shots into the air. That snapped everyone back to reality. This was no act. The manager immediately hit the alarm. The clown ordered everyone to raise their hands above their heads. Even the dog nearby wasn't spared. The dog stared at the barrel of the gun, frozen stiff with fear. The clown was quite pleased with that. He tossed a plastic bag onto the counter. "Fill this thing up." But a man standing nearby wasn't having it. "Hey, that's my money." The clown, showing a surprising sense of professional ethics, turned to the teller and said, "Give this gentleman a receipt." Then he herded everyone into the vault. The security guard even helpfully did a head count. Once everyone was inside, he wisely handed over the keys and walked right in himself. Then the clown pulled out another bag and told the teller to stuff this one full too. He called the manager out separately, grabbed him by the hand, and walked him to the center of the hall. He made the manager call the police and deliver a message. If anyone dared set foot inside, he'd blow the whole building sky high. To drive the point home, he showed off the explosives strapped to his body. By now, a massive police perimeter had already formed around the bank. The moment word got out about a hostage situation, a crowd of onlookers gathered in no time. Street vendors came racing over, desperate to stake out the best spots before anyone else could. Meanwhile, inside the vault, the hostages were a sight to behold. One guy picking at his toes, another recording a farewell video on his phone, someone praying with hands clasped together, one person chewing gum out of sheer boredom, and yet another sobbing their heart out. The clown blasted the surveillance camera to pieces with one shot. Hearing the gunfire, the police chief immediately called to check on the situation. The clown replied, "That camera kept staring me down, so I taught it a lesson." Then he laid out his demands. "I want a bus with a full tank of gas, a motorcycle, a monster truck, and 2 helicopters. For every demand you meet, I'll release 1 hostage." The chief had no choice but to comply. Before long, the helicopters were in position. True to his word, the clown headed into the vault to pick which hostage to release. But who should go first? Just then, a man named Paul pulled out a glove and started dry heaving violently. In an instant, a nauseating stench filled the sealed space. In the spirit of fair democracy, the clown put it to a vote. Everyone pointed at Paul without hesitation. And just like that, Paul was the first one out. Shortly after, the police met 2 more demands, meaning 2 hostages could be released. The bank manager sidled up to the clown and said, "This watch of mine is worth 120 grand. Let me go, and it's yours. Free of charge." The clown scoffed. "I'm a man of integrity. I don't take handouts. How about this? I'll buy it off you for $3, and I'll throw in a digital watch I picked up at the dollar store." Then he went back to selecting the next batch of hostages. That's when a woman named Lisa started tearing into the clown at the top of her lungs. "You painted up, gun-toting, hideous excuse for a human being? You're robbing a bank? Call yourself a man?" The clown was instantly enraged and flashed the bomb strapped to his chest. The other hostages panicked, begging him to get Lisa out of there, yelling that they'd like to live a little longer. So the clown released 1 man and 1 woman, Mike and Lisa. The chief came forward to question them. Mike stammered and stuttered, but couldn't offer anything useful. Just then, Lisa noticed a small white smudge behind Mike's ear. She quickly wiped it clean before the chief could see. Finding nothing of value from the questioning, the chief waved them off. Next, the monster truck arrived. The chief called the clown to let him know, but this time nobody picked up. At that very moment, 2 men and a woman were huddled together, heading to grab some KFC to celebrate. It turned out that Mike was the clown himself, Lisa was his girlfriend, and Paul was his accomplice. Paul and Lisa had planted themselves inside the bank beforehand, posing as customers. The 3 of them then slipped out under the cover of their hostage disguises. To keep buying time, Mike called the chief from a payphone on the street, complaining that the monster truck was an eyesore and demanding a replacement. Otherwise, no more hostages. But just as he was about to hang up, Paul accidentally bumped the car horn. The chief's suspicion kicked in immediately. How could there be a car horn inside the bank? He ordered a tactical breach on the spot, but there was no sign of the clown anywhere in the bank. Mike and the others sensed the danger and sped off toward the airport. The problem was, none of them knew the local roads, and before long, they were completely lost. They finally spotted a pedestrian holding a map, only to discover the guy was in the same line of work. He pulled out a weapon and ordered them to hand over all their cash. After turning their pockets inside out, he found a grand total of $4. Mike said, "This watch is worth 120 grand. Let us go, and it's yours." But the robber sneered. "You expect me to believe a guy with $4 to his name owns a $120,000 watch? Maybe a $120? Still bitter, the robber dragged their suitcase away as well. Unfortunately, that suitcase held the disguises they planned to change into at the airport. Left with no choice, the 3 doubled back to Lisa's rental apartment and threw on some old clothes. No wonder the robber couldn't find any cash on them. They'd strapped all the stolen money directly to their bodies. Just as they finished changing and were ready to head out, the building across the street caught fire. And of course, their car was parked right next to a fire hydrant. The firefighters had to smash the window and move the car, but it happened to be on a steep incline. The three of them could only watch helplessly as their ride slid all the way down into a ditch. With no other option, they hailed a cab to the airport. They finally flagged one down, only to discover the driver was red-green colorblind and blew through every red light like it was green. At this rate, they'd meet their maker before they ever reached the airport. Paul was so terrified he leaped out of the moving cab, but he was going too fast to stop and slammed headfirst into a newsstand, knocked out cold. A crowd of rubberneckers instantly gathered, and the newsstand owner called the cops. Afraid of being spotted by the police, Mike and Lisa hoisted Paul up and bolted, only to stumble straight into gang territory. The gang members drew their weapons and demanded to know what they were doing there. Mike thought to himself, if he said they'd walked in by mistake, all three of them might not walk out alive. So he went all in and claimed they were there to collect a debt. As luck would have it, the gang actually owed their boss money. The lead thug asked, "How come John didn't come himself this time?" Mike fired back without missing a beat. "John's in a terrible mood today. See this guy right here? He just threw him out of a moving car. And let me tell you, if you don't settle up today, none of you will see tomorrow." The thugs went weak in the knees and scrambled to hand over the cash. The three of them pocketed the money and strolled out. Right on cue, a city bus pulled up, and they figured they'd ride it to the airport. But the driver was a stickler for the rules. No exact change, no ride. Mike had no choice but to run to a nearby shop to break some bills, and the place was crawling with cops. Meanwhile, the real debt collector John showed up. When he found out someone had already collected the money, he didn't bother asking questions. He just roughed the thugs up. One of them happened to spot Mike and ratted him out to John immediately. Mike bolted onto the bus with John hot on his heels. The cops saw John chasing the bus like a maniac and assumed he was the fugitive they were after, so they tackled him on the spot. As it turned out, he actually was a wanted criminal. The three of them rode the bus to the airport without any more trouble. But the moment they settled into their seats on the plane, they saw the police chief walking down the aisle. Mike and Paul felt their stomachs drop, certain the jig was up, and raised their hands, ready to surrender. But then a man in the row ahead jumped to his feet and grabbed the woman next to him, using her as a human shield. It turned out he was the real gang boss, who'd been trying to flee after hearing that his man John had been arrested. When he saw the officer approaching, he assumed the cops were coming for him and shoved the woman forward. The gang boss lunged straight at the chief. Seeing their chance, Mike and Paul rushed in to help take him down. In the struggle, the chief's gun slid across the floor and stopped right at the restroom door. The gang boss was about to grab it when Lisa stepped out of the restroom, swung the door open, and cracked him right on the head, knocking him out cold. He was arrested on the spot. Since Mike and the others had already changed their clothes and altered their appearances, the chief didn't recognize them at all. Instead, he praised them as brave, upstanding citizens. In the end, the three of them boarded the plane, flew out of the country, and started a brand new life.